Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. I am your host, Viz, and tonight, for the first time, we are holding a Dead Talk Live team entertainment news roundtable. And let me just introduce you guys first. On the left, we have our executive producer, Efren Rodriguez. And on the right, we have one of our lead writers, Bob Garland. Guys, thank you for coming on here. We're just gonna
Thank you for
have
having
a
us.
we're just gonna have a chat tonight, do a little roundtable discussion of some entertainment headlines and topics, and to just let you guys know on how this idea came up. We have a pretty nice sized team here at Dead Talk Live, Dead Talk Media in general, and we all communicate through WhatsApp. We have a several different chats where it's broken up by department, and then we also have a general chat. So every day throughout the day, we chat, share information, links, news, opinions, maybe poke a little fun at each other every now and again, keep things lighten up. But it's, we've built a nice, close family. So I just had this idea of, you know what? Let's just bring this discussion to the screen one night, see what kind of reaction we get, and just go from there. So we're just going to get started right away. And we're going to start off tonight's topic with a movie that literally just came out of nowhere uh, and has become such a hit. It's been greenlit for a sequel. It's at over $95 million worldwide already, and that is Universal Pictures' Megan. Now, I have not seen the film. Efren, I don't think you've seen the film either, right?
I have not known.
Okay, so Bob, that leaves you. You have seen this film. So, what is it about this Universal Pictures film that has just taken off? Universal is the one who did the Halloween trilogy. What makes Megan so damn good?
Well, you saw The Exorcist, or not The Exorcist. You saw the Child's Play remake, right?
Yeah.
Basically, the exact same story from the trailer. A guardian gets this kid this electronic toy, and it just goes crazy. But in this one, it's a little girl. Her parents die literally the beginning of the movie, and her aunt works at this like big toy company. I guess it's supposed to be like part part Apple, part Hasbro, where they do like a lot of these like really advanced toys. And she's been working the the aunt, played by Allison Williams from Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
She works there, and she develops this prototype, which is Megan, and ends up pairing it with her niece, since her niece just lost her parents, and the doll is kind of like helping her get through everything, and then the doll just starts going crazy.
Now that sounds very familiar, like Child's Play, like you mentioned, but also a movie recently where we had on the cast and crew, and that's Christmas Bloody Christmas, where this AI Santa just decides to go crazy. So, Efren, this is not a new story. Not having seen the movie, having heard what the story's about, what do you think lent to this success that this movie is seeing right now?
Well, that's exactly it. You just mentioned Christmas, Bloody Christmas, and I mean that's it's that kind of fear of AI that everybody seems to have, and it's been around for decades. I mean, come on, go back to the Terminator, Westworld, the
But
original Westworld, even.
does Megan take place like in today's world or like 50 years in the future or something like that?
It's supposed to be today's world, but some of the stuff that exists are clearly for the movie. So it's kind of like it. It's more like it should probably take place the next couple years. So it's a little bit more ambiguous with the kind of stuff that it has, like tech wise. But the movie itself seems to present itself as if it's 2023 or whenever it was shot.
Now, that reminds me of like one of my favorite AI films, and that's I Robot, all right? Where we have the three laws,
Mhm.
okay, that will prevent a robot from hurting a human being. What is it with this prototype, Megan? Uh, is she actually artificial intelligence? Does she develop the ability to think for herself? Does she develop a conscience, the ability to make decisions without any programming? What is it about her?
Yeah. So, do you want a spoiler on like the theory on like where it
Yeah,
turns
yeah,
bad?
yeah, yeah.
So there's a point where a dog bites the niece. Megan goes to kind of like pull the kid away and gets under this fence, and the dog bites the doll on the neck, and that just kind of causes it to go crazy. But it goes completely AI. Like they build it as an AI, and I'm pretty sure they don't mention the three laws of robotics. And I was sitting in the theater, and that the first thing when I started seeing like what I considered was the red flags, I was like, they should have put that in. Very
Yeah.
first thing was the three laws.
Mhm.
But it does. It becomes its own kind of AI. It becomes kind of like a toddler Skynet, so to speak.
I don't want the ending spoiled, but this thing has been greenlit for a sequel because of the success it's seen so far. And let me just show you guys some of the numbers. Here we go. Domestically in the United States, to date, over $60 million. International, over $35 million, for a total gross worldwide of over $95 million. And this has been out for 11 days, less than 2 weeks, and it's about to break the $100 million mark. That's just phenomenal.
Mhm.
For a horror movie that came out around Christmas time to bring in this kind of money. Normally, Christmas time is not the season for horror movies.
That's
So,
against what kind of a budget?
yeah, well, this is Universal Pictures, so this had a big budget. This is a studio
I thought
film. This is,
really.
Think,
I thought
well, it's
Blumhouse had something to do
Blumhouse.
with it. Yeah.
yeah, well, Blumhouse works with a lot of different distributors and other companies, but Blumhouse also did the Halloween movies.
Well, I mean, Blumhouse usually they're pretty good about raking things in no more than maybe 15 million. Like I know the Halloween movies got a little bit carried away on their budget, but I think Megan was somewhere around that 12, 13 million.
And
I think I saw it on Wikipedia, so I'm not 100% sure.
this is Box Office Mojo, which is now owned by IMDb. What I loved about Box Office Mojo before it was taken over by Amazon is that it actually told you the production budget. They have since removed that, and we have
Mhm.
no idea. But if you look at, the opening date, which is January 6th, hell, it's after Christmas. It's a New Year's movie. $11 million, and then around day 11 it shoots back up to $7.5 million, and it's been up and down, but it's been steady the whole way through. So I'm
Weekends
gonna
it'll
check.
always shoot up.
What'd you say?
Weekends it'll always shoot up. Obviously,
Yeah, I
that's the
mean,
way it does.
I'm gonna check this out. I'm gonna check it out when it comes out on Peacock, since it is a Universal film, and see what just all the rave is about. But you personally, Bob, I mean, did you enjoy this film?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good popcorn movie, and usually when I go into horror, like that's my rule of thumb is don't expect Shakespeare. Just hope I can turn my brain off and have fun,
But
and that's pretty much what it was. I mean,
That's what the movies are about, man.
is it a good horror film in regards to story? Is there just a lot of blood? It doesn't look like a bloody film. It looks
it's
like a
PG-13.
psychological thriller.
It's PG-13, and I dug into it. I did a little bit of research. Apparently, there was an R-rated cut,
Uh,
but it rode the line between R and PG-13 like so close that they said, "Well, you know what? We'll reshoot the couple scenes we need to get it down, and then we'll release it that way."
was it
And
blood? You like
I'd
this?
like to see an R cut.
Was it bloodier or less bloody than what you thought it would be going into the theater?
Um, I guess less bloodier because I expected more angle and more visuals on the actual like kills,
I mean, yeah,
but
this
there's
is
a lot of it. that's cut it away.
More child's play.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This isn't the sadistic Chucky, who just before he's cornered in a toy store and is about to get popped, he embeds his soul into a doll, and that's how the whole child's play franchise got started. So now on to another thing here. Let me bring us back up to the website, and that is HBO's The Last of Us. Okay, now I have not seen this either, but this is based off of a game, all right, and it's had like the second largest debut right behind House of the Dragon. Have both you guys watched this?
Yeah, I watched it this morning.
All right, Efren, what is this about?
I mean, it's basically apocalypse, the apocalypse, zombie apocalypse from the beginning.
Oh, so this is a zombie show.
Sort of. I mean, it's I don't want to give too much away, because it's brand new.
Uh-huh.
But it's like a viral zombie apocalypse, that's all I'll say.
And
it's a very different take on like how you would do a zombie.
Is it more like Resident Evil as opposed to, Romero?
No. It's very, very different, but very kind of original almost in the way they went about it.
Okay.
It's an environmentally friendly zombie.
All right, now this is no excuse for me not having to watch it, so I'm going to be checking this out really, really soon.
Oh, you'd love it.
But they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I didn't expect it to be anywhere near as good as it was.
Did HBO Max drop the whole season at once, or they released?
No, just the first.
One episode.
So there's only one episode out right now.
One episode, and it's a long episode. It's like 80-something minutes, I think.
Well, but that's weird because I guess for a gaming title, this must have been really popular as a game on its debut, on its pilot episode, to draw in 4.7 million viewers.
Well, they've been working on this for years. When the game first came out, Sam Raimi was gonna do a movie about it. Like the next day, they greenlit a movie for it.
And what happened with that?
It never came through.
Yeah,
it just got to, okay. So it ended up.
Here's what'll happen. Eventually, those numbers are going to go down because obviously the gamers weren't so impressed by it. Everybody expects it to be. Yeah, everybody expects it to be exactly the way it was in the game, and that's not going to happen.
It's the same thing with books turned into movies.
It's got to be an adaptation.
Turned into movies.
Yeah, it's an adaptation.
Yeah, exactly. So. I mean, I'm just trying.
An adaptation, they did an amazing job. I mean, I like I said, I was in awe.
So I think it'll have the lasting power.
Well, because of what's going on now, like we're talking about it because it's making all the headlines. So I didn't know, I had not heard of this. It was not on my radar, but now through the headlines and us talking about it and word of mouth, I'm going to start checking this out, and I'm sure I'm going to love it. So
it dropped at the perfect time because The Walking Dead just ended, and there's that void. So, I mean, House of the Dragon, the only way it could have done better is if it dropped about 6 months after Game of Thrones ended, and this drops relatively in that same kind of window, and it's filling that void. So you have a lot of people who probably didn't play the games that just like were obsessed with Walking Dead. I guarantee they're probably going straight for this because it.
Same night, same time. I mean,
and House of the Dragon, I mean, that had the Game of Thrones following. Okay, so you knew that was going to get a large following, at least for its debut episode, and people were going to decide. It was just that the show is phenomenal. It's a great show, and that's why viewership sort of persisted and grew as the House of the Dragon season progressed and through the first season. With this show, I guess a lot of the gamers are the ones who tuned in, and then probably after word of mouth, very soon after the premiere date when it dropped, a lot of people tuned in, and thus the numbers that it has with 4.7 million. So I'm definitely going to be checking this out as well. Speaking of zombies, we got to talk about Fear the Walking Dead after is announced the final season. So now we have The Walking Dead, which ended last last year, December. That's all done with. That was the main show, the mother show that went on for 12 years. Fear the Walking Dead, the first spin-off that started about 4 years into The Walking Dead and is about to premiere its eighth season. AMC announced that it's going to end. This eighth season is going to be the final season for Fear the Walking Dead. To let our viewers know what AMC is going to do with that is they're going to break it up into two 6 episode segments. So the first 6 episodes are going to air in May, and then the final 6 episodes, I'm guessing, are going to air either late summer or October. So, Efren, in your mind, your AMC, okay, you just wrapped up one of your most successful shows of all time. And now you're wrapping up its first spin-off. You're putting all your Walking Dead chips on these two other spin-offs that are coming soon. One of them is the Maggie and Negan one, and then I believe later on this year is Norman Reedus's Daryl one in Paris, in France. The Rick and Michonne one is going to be a limited series, probably maybe 1 or 2 seasons at most, but that's not coming till 2024. So if you're AMC, what's your logic behind killing off Fear the Walking Dead after this year and putting all your bets on those spin-offs right there?
Only thing I could imagine is maybe budgeting, because it almost seemed unprecedented. Come on, they just brought Kim Dickens back at the end of the last season. It looked like they were, at least I would think they were going to go longer than this.
Me too. When I first heard several years ago now that they were canceling The Walking Dead, I thought Fear would persist for several more seasons. So I was kind of surprised last week when I found out that they're ending the show. Uh, Fear the Walking Dead never had the numbers that The Walking Dead did. And people, whenever I spoke to people, uh, when they asked about Fear the Walking Dead, I always told them, don't compare it up to The Walking Dead. Judge it as its own show. It has its own characters. Yeah, there is crossover. But judge it on its own merits. And if you do that, it's a pretty decent show. They just brought back one of the early season's favorite in Madison and Kim Dickens, just to find out that this is the final season and they're going to be getting rid of her. Now, I have, let's see, right here, they released a trailer. So let's go ahead and watch this Fear the Walking Dead trailer of the final season 8.
Good morning, Laura. It's that time of the week.
I think this is a
You're
flashback.
gonna play nice today. You see you're skipping meals again? We have ways to make you eat. See you next week, Laura. have ammo down here? I know you want to die, Luke. But Padre's not gonna let that happen.
All right, so two things with that trailer right there. I think it's a flashback to,
Definitely.
yeah, it looks like a flashback to before she runs into Morgan. What do you think is up with that bite mark on her arm? I mean, that is a bite mark. When she rolled up her sleeve, you draw that blood or whatever. I mean, it can't be a zombie. I mean, they put it there for us to guess, but I don't know. I have no idea what that is about.
Maybe
But
it is a zombie. Maybe they found a way to stop the infection or slow it down.
I don't think I was just reviewing in my head the final episodes that we saw her in last season. I can't remember if it's possible that she could have had an amputated arm and she was just using a fake limb or something. So I don't know. But anyway, the final season of Fear the Walking Dead premieres this May. First 6 episodes. The last 6 episodes are going to be coming later on this year. So now this is funny. Our next topic, Velma. Okay, Scooby Doo.
Oh God.
Come on, everybody loves Scooby Doo. We all have kids, and I watched Scooby Doo. I didn't watch Scooby Doo growing up. I watched Scooby Doo with my kids when they were growing up. So, but anyway, Velma, the show is getting a lot of flack. Okay, it's also on HBO Max. I have not seen this either. But Bob, why is Velma getting such negative pushback, to put it mildly?
Well, for one, it's getting pushed back by everybody. Like left, right, everybody has been pushing back on this. And it really comes down to is Mindy Kaling, the writer and the voice actress or voice actor playing Velma, basically didn't actually put Velma in the show, just put herself in it and just made herself Velma and actually didn't really add any of the character. Then they advertised this as a prequel to the show. Okay. So apparently this is supposed to be before they group together and solve mysteries. And it's changing one thing after another, but it's also making things adult when it's Scooby-Doo. It was never meant to be adult. Scooby-Doo was always a children's property. And I don't think there was anybody clamoring for them to do a Riverdale update or animated version of Scooby-Doo, especially when it's on probably not the most popular character out of that gang.
Yeah.
If you were going to do a prequel, you would probably either go with Scooby, which they did. They did one in, I think, the 80s, a pup named Scooby-Doo. Yeah. And I watched that religiously like I watched the original. Or you would do it about Shaggy because, one, his dad's a cop, so he's kind of got more of an interesting story to tell there, but also because he's connected to the dog. The dog is the show.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do Flintstones without the kids because they're just that important. But this show, Velma, it's like take the Flintstones and make it about Betty, but you don't put in Fred, and then you change Betty to be completely different.
So why even call it Velma? Efren, what do you?
Exactly. That's the whole problem with it. Is this looked more like a show that should have been done brand new? Create your own characters, create a whole new scenario, and put it out that way.
They're just trying to use the popularity of the Scooby-Doo brand to build up this show. All right. Well,
and to build up the whole diversity and inclusivity. But here's the thing: when you take classic characters and you change them that much, Velma is, I believe she's Native American on the show. They made Daphne Asian, and she's got two lesbian moms. And
They're trying
they
to
made
modernize it.
yeah, Shaggy isn't Shaggy anymore. He's known as Norval. That's like his full name, and he's African American. I mean, you're not just changing a few aspects. You're changing everything. Just create your own show. You've obviously got an idea of what you want to do. Create your own show. Create your own characters, and leave the classics alone.
Well, it comes off as so just disingenuous because you're taking this property, you're keeping almost nothing. And I don't have you seen the pictures they released of Scooby in this show?
No.
Yeah, Norval is gonna have it looks like a girlfriend who's also African American, and her name is Scooby, but it's spelled with an I.
Oh God.
Wow. Has this
So, I mean,
has this premiered already or no?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's on
so
HBO Max.
All right. Yeah, it just sounds to me like HBO is just grabbing the brand franchise and building off a whole new story and characters with just the same
and so
names.
you could modernize Scooby Doo. There's a lot of cool things that you could really bring in to the group, because of social media cell phones and all this. And honestly, they were
Listen,
always skeptics in the show. You can
didn't they do
really,
that with didn't they do that with Mystery Inc?
yeah, you could do such a great angle. Like you could have done basically the kids' versions of like Ghost Hunters with Scooby Doo. They go and investigate. And then when it turns out that it's actually just somebody in the costume, they catch them and turn them over to the cops. And there's the new angle. They're trying to prove the paranormal exists.
Yeah.
Then you can have one character who doesn't believe, one character who does. There's a lot of ways you could have modernized Scooby Doo that would have been kid friendly and that wouldn't have changed everything.
Now, what about this show makes it not kid friendly? I mean, language? What is it?
Language, nudity,
Really?
yes.
Wow. Now,
I haven't seen an episode. I've just seen the trailer they did at one of the Warner Brother panels or something. I think it was Comic-Con, and it showed a fully nude. I think it was Daphne, and it
wow.
even showed pubic hair, which is completely inappropriate.
Oh,
Like
boy.
it wants to be an edgy adult swim show, but it wants to do it with kid friendly characters, and it's just if you change everyone's name and change the style so it's nothing like Scooby Doo, I bet it would have been reviewed much much better than it is now.
Now,
Yeah, the way it got my attention, my kid who's been watching Scooby Doo all his life turned it on and turned it off 15 minutes later. He said, "That's not Scooby Doo."
yeah, I remember you wrote us about that, saying that you never thought that would happen in like a million years, and he asked to turn it off. Uh, what's HBO doing with this? Are they doing a second season? I assume not.
I
Uh,
hope not.
I think I don't know anything for sure. Because I watch as many videos to kind of get as much information as I can when it comes to this stuff, and it looks like they're going to try to do a second season. I don't see it happening. I think by the end of this season they're going to quietly cancel it or just never talk about it again, which would be for the best.
Are you Bob? Does this make you want to check this at least one episode out and see what it's about?
Not really, because I
Yeah,
mean,
neither. Me
one,
neither.
time is precious, and two, it's just stuff like this.
I think
I'm burned out on it because
I
they
think I'm more
want
horrified by the idea.
well, they want to do inclusivity, and that's great, but there's so many great actual characters that you can do things like that with. And I don't
Yeah.
think taking Scooby Doo and bastardizing it was the
Yeah.
route to go. And then not even put the real Scooby Doo in it.
I
Exactly.
mean, there's a kids show called Craig of the Creek that does it so tastefully. They don't throw it in your face. It doesn't become the basis of the whole show the way
Yeah.
they just don't do it with classic characters.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Another franchise that might be coming to an end. Let me bring that up. Is one of the best horror franchises. I'll go ahead and say it, and that's the Conjuring franchise. They are doing a fourth film, but according to James Wan, the fourth film may be the final film in the Conjuring franchise. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be the final film in the Conjuring universe.
And it
The
said about the third one.
Annabelle, The Nun, this has spawned a lot of spin offs that have done well in their own right. Now, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, was okay. It was good. I actually rewatched it like 2 weeks ago. But it's nowhere near as good as the first and the second one. Uh, I didn't like the fact that they brought in the whole living person witch aspect into the third film that was causing the demonic possessions and all the curses and all that. I think that just sort of took away from the 100% paranormal aspect of the film. Uh, as far as the Warrens and their story, Efren, do you agree that it's time to put the main film stories
I
to rest?
I don't think there should even be a fourth one. I think you got to let the Warren sleep, man. It's
There,
enough already.
there is a
I love
sequel.
the characters, so
Yeah,
I'm geared up for the fourth one because I did enjoy the third one because it wasn't trying to be any more complicated than it
yeah,
really was, and I get the embellishment thing, but honestly, I'd be okay if the fourth is the last one if they greenlit like a show
Yeah,
with Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga the next day because really the
yeah.
appeal of those movies is just the chemistry between those two actors
yes.
and
Well,
seeing them in those
there is,
roles.
but their chemistry is nothing like the real Warrens. We all know
No,
that.
no, no, they're not. And the stories are really loosely based on what, especially uh, all three movies. Arnie Johnson, the third one, the Rhode Island house in the first Conjuring movie. They're all very, very loosely based on the Warrens' involvement in those cases. But I, I enjoyed the third one. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it a lot. But compared to the other two, the first two were much, much better. Now they are also making a Nun sequel. Now that I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to.
I am too.
The way that they ended the first one and how they actually tied it into the Conjuring movie. And I mean, do you have high expectations, Efren, for this sequel for the Nun?
I do. I mean, I am fascinated by the Valak demon and
Yeah.
the way it kind of tied it into Annabelle creation, and I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with the second Nun.
Bob, what do you think is gonna? There's no real mention about the Annabelle series. What do you think they're gonna do with that?
I I just think they're taking a little bit of time off from it just because one of the bigger forces I think was the I think it's the director of the second one that ended up doing uh, a Marvel movie or something. I can't remember because I haven't seen the Annabelle movies.
Well, James Wan did the new Aquaman movie that's yet to come out.
I I think I think Annabelle's just taking like some time off. I think they're gonna bring her back. I think it's probably gonna be after Conjuring 4 because after that comes out, there is gonna be that question: is this universe dead? Is like the Nun the big cap off, or is this the big cap off? And my two predictions are they'll get a good director for 4, and it'll just be a surprise hit. So they'll talk about it and decide to make a 5, but they'll put it off for a few years so that it feels like you've had no Conjuring for a bit. And I
eh,
do think Annabelle will probably get another movie.
Me too. This franchise has been way too successful. I think you're right. They're just gonna wait. This hasn't even. I think this is still in script development. They're gonna film it, release it, see how well it does, uh, and then any decision moving forward is gonna really solely depend on how much money The Conjuring 4 makes and how much of a cry there is from the people to keep this franchise moving on. And you got to keep in mind, beyond The Nun and beyond Annabelle, there are so many more stories just that we've seen in the movies from their little haunted room museum upon which more spin offs can be done. I mean, Efren, are you a fan of them continuing to expand the universe? or do you want them to
Well,
keep it contained to where it is right now?
I was looking the other day, and is there true that there's are there really 5 Insidious movies already?
Yeah,
See, I lost count. I don't think I've
and
seen
that,
the fifth one.
and that's another great franchise with Patrick Wilson. He was great in it. He's
You,
not.
you
He
start
was
losing track after a while. So
yeah. He was in
in a way, I like what they've done with this series because they branch out on it. It's not just one continuous series
yeah.
because it does get boring after a while.
Well, Ed did have an apprentice that his daughter ended up marrying. So I mean, there's
Yeah.
always room, even if you don't want to continue like with Ed and Lorraine, which I get because there's a lot of hubbub about that whole thing. But you could always do The Apprentice. You could do your TV show like they did with Highlander, where you have the main duo in the opening episode to kind of introduce everybody. Then they leave, and then you follow, their daughter and her husband as they're doing their paranormal stuff. And then you have a lot more to embellish, and then you have all the artifacts. There's countless avenues you can really take with this.
And absolutely, and the Warrens themselves are a brand. They are a high value brand. And you mentioned their son-in-law. There's a new show that came out last month on Netflix called Haunted 28 or 28 Haunted. Now, what they do is they take three. It's an area that Netflix has never really delved into, and that is paranormal investigating. What 28 Haunted is they take three separate paranormal investigative groups and put them into three different locations throughout the country. And they have to spend the full 28 days there. And one of the people that are monitoring all three groups is the Warrens' son-in-law.
Wow.
So that's just them building on that the whole Warrens brand. And the basis of this show is that the Warrens, I don't know if this is true or not, but the Warrens supposedly had a theory that in order to fully get the scope and magnitude of a potential haunting going on in someone's home or at a location, you can't just go in there for a day or two. You got to spend at least 28 days to sort of get the full picture of what's going on. So the show was very, very interesting. What I found interesting is that about 2.5 weeks in, all three groups started to sort of rub each other the wrong way. Like there's at least 2 or 3 people in each group. And, spending 4 weeks with somebody that you don't really know that well, there's going to be disagreements. Some of it, a lot of it is played up for the television part. But you guys should check it out because it takes the Warrens brand and incorporates it into a new Netflix show in a genre that Netflix has never gone into before, and that is the whole paranormal investigation. So anyway,
I'd love to see somebody do a movie where they actually portray them realistically.
well, that's going to be boring.
It'd be so mean too. It would be so mean spirited. I mean,
But
I don't
I
think
mean,
anybody watches
I
The
don't
Conjuring.
I don't doubt I don't doubt that that she was the real deal.
Well, he was a lot of bluff and talk. He was.
Well, also,
Go on.
sorry. Also, you would have to end up getting into the rumors that, like, I think the craziest thing I read was they shared a lover and that kind of stuff.
No, that I don't want to see.
Yeah, like I feel like there's no way to do it and just not be mean spirited. And I think the appeal is it's really not so much the characters Ed and Lorraine. It's really in the performances between Patrick Wilson and Burra Farmiga. Like if you give if you give them two different character names, if you call them John and Janet Smith,
It'll be just
put
as
them in
good.
the exact situation,
Yeah.
people are gonna love it just because people love seeing that chemistry with them.
They have a
It's
great.
fun to watch them.
I totally agree with you. They have a great chemistry. You actually can feel the love that they have for one another. And if people were told the truth, Well, hell, you want the truth in regards to the first Conjuring movie with the Perrin family? They showed up, they did the seance, it went horribly wrong, and the dad, Roger Perrin, kicked the Warrens out. And if you hear the story from the kids, and I mean, not only did Roger the dad kick him out, he physically threw them out of the house because the risk and the danger that they put his wife through. Because what happened during that seance is she got picked up from the seance chair and thrown like 10 feet back into the kitchen. And that was, he saw that as them just exploiting their situation, not
That
really
freaked him
trying to help
out.
them.
And then the infill thing, I think they were only there for like half a day and then
Yeah,
they left. So I mean, the fun of the series is the chemistry and the embellishment because
yeah,
we're at a time where we just want heroes. Like we don't. If you made a movie about the real Warrens, like how they really were, or the way a lot of people believe they were, you wouldn't have really the kind of fun with it. What you would have is something pretty depressing, pretty bland, unless you got like somebody really talented to make it look pretty. But then again, like you're taking away from the real grayness of it.
absolutely. I totally agree. I don't want to see the real stories because I've heard the real stories and they're boring. I have absolutely no problem with 98% of the films being completely made up. So, some announcements to make here. This coming Thursday, speaking of the paranormal, we are going to be welcoming the Kindred Spirits team. Amy Bruni, Adam Berry, and Chip Coffey. Discovery Plus is getting ready to release a brand new season of Kindred Spirits on January 20th. So I'm looking very much forward to talking to those three. Another note here this weekend is going to be the second and final weekend of our Cine Expose virtual horror film festival.
Yes, it is.
We last year, 2021 was our first annual. This is our second annual film festival. We got like twice as many submissions, some great films, and we actually have a clip from last week's. That's not it. Okay, so check this out. This is just a clip from last week's one of the movies from last week. Yeah. So that's just a little taste. We are celebrating filmmakers from around the world. We literally have submissions from South America, Europe, and all over the world. And we have a full slate starting this Friday through Sunday. Another 3 days jam packed starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can watch live at the Cine Expose YouTube channel, CINEXPOSE. Just go to YouTube, search for that, and you'll see the upcoming shows listed on top. They're not yet listed for this upcoming weekend, but they will be in the next couple of days. So definitely go ahead and check that out.
And
And
what sets an expose for apart from other film festivals is the audience gets to pick our winners. So Sunday night we'll be voting for all the festival winners.
we do have day 2 and 3 from last weekend still up on YouTube. So while you're waiting for this weekend to come, you can catch up on the days that you missed from last week. And some other great news this past week. As you know, Dead Talk Live is produced by our company, Dead Talk Media, which is a production and film distribution company. We signed a new movie to distribute by Thomas G. Waite, who a lot of you know as Windows from The Thing. He was in The Warriors, starred opposite Al Pacino and in Justice for All. He has a new sexual comedy, and this thing is it's edgy. It's called Target. Check out our social media. I posted the trailer today, and I'm going to play it for you guys right now if you haven't seen it yet. This film is being released this coming spring. We don't have an exact date yet, but as soon as we get one, we'll definitely let you know. But check out the trailer to Target.
Why don't you want to be intimate with just me?
It's just with me, the intimacy comes after you have sex with another man.
Why are you like this?
I'm a pervert. I need to take our sex life to a higher gear.
Okay, I'll think about it. But I have to pick the guy.
Dick's Deli.
Oh, you mean that guy that works there? You give me a ride on that bike sometime? The first time you saw him.
You're blocking the walkway with your bike friend.
Nowhere else to park? One thing I know is you two love each other and are devoted to one another. And that, I respect. Salud.
Jump in the lake, anyone?
I may seem normal.
No, you don't. Seem normal at all.
Nice spies, dude. I am cuckoldom. It's a metaphor for guys whose wives cheat on them. But some men actually want their wives to have lovers. Let's put it this way. I'm a process guy.
Okay.
Honey, I know that you want this, but his soul stays in me forever. They say. I'm really flexible.
Wanna wrestle for her?
What?
I hate people!
You're not gonna like it.
Whoa.
But it appears your house has been targeted.
Here, do you want some water?
Why? But I want a glass of water!
You stabbed him, then you shot him? Wow.
He was already stabbed. I shot him by accident.
Why would you shoot him if he was already stabbed? Can I get a glass of water?
So what do you think?
About what?
Vinny,
Come in.
in case things get too crazy with Shepard, they don't work out, we have a backup plan.
A backup plan? Goodbye.
I was just going.
There you guys have it. Target coming this spring. It's edgy. It's a boatload of fun and lots of laughs, but it is edgy. Got to warn you right there. It'll be available on streaming video on demand sometime this spring. Please keep an eye out on our social media and news channels. The trailer is up now on our Dead Talk Live YouTube channel. So anyway, I guess that brings us to the end of our show. Believe it or not, we've been going for almost 50 minutes. I want to thank you guys. I think this was great. I really enjoyed talking about the latest entertainment news stories. There's always something new to talk about. And, you know, I've said this before, you know, I'm so busy, I don't really get to keep up or read a lot of the entertainment news, being in the industry as we are. So I rely on our chats, on our team chats, to stay informed, because a lot of the times I have just no idea what's going on. So I want to thank both of you guys. Again, this is Efren Rodriguez, our executive producer, and Bob Garland, one of our lead writers. Until this Thursday, join us at 1 p.m. Eastern to tune in and watch the Kindred Spirits team. Their new season is starting January 20th. On behalf of Bob, Efren, and myself, stay safe and stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Good night.